massive cancer concerns around the world over the use of artificial sweeteners. Aspartame sweeteners are under scrutiny for cancer risks, is what Reuters has come out with in a major report. There is an expectation that global bodies will be coming out with an important declaration, perhaps the World Health Organization, in the middle of July on this. This sugar substitute might just be declared carcinogenic by an arm of the World Health Organization, according to that Reuters report. Aspartame is used in Diet Coke and other sugar-free drinks, chewing gum as well. Now, we did reach out to the World Health Organization, who say that they've assessed the potential carcinogenic effect of aspartame, and they will be providing those results. The results of their evaluations will be out by the 14th of July. In May, the World Health Organization had warned against the use of non-sugar sweeteners. The implications of all of this absolutely huge. Dr. Sunila Garg and Dr. Sunita Narayan with us. Dr. Sunila Garg, people around the world depend on artificial sweeteners. If this particular type of artificial sweetener using this chemical is ruled out, what are the larger global implications?
I think it's a very, very important issue what you have raised, and thank you for being there on the show with you from United States actually, and where this is already banned, let me tell you that. And also in European Union, basically all the products need to mention that this product contains aspartame. That is important. But we also have to remember that since we are having different studies which have already talked about that aspartame is responsible for behavioral changes, headache, seizures, migraine, depression, and all that. And cancer is one of the things which was already on the pipeline in our thinking. But larger studies, they need to kind of prove this issue, because when aspartame goes into the body, it is digested into phenylalanine, then aspartic acid, and ultimately into methanol. So which is the methanol is the part which is affecting our neurochemical system. So that is one of the reasons, and we need to since India is a diabetic capital of the world, and also Delhi is the capital of India, we need to kind of think of that we need to use alternative of the natural sources of sugar rather than using these stuffs in form of aspartame.
Dr. Sunita Narayan, how widespread is this? Companies across the world have known that there is a danger, but they've chosen to ignore this. That's the bottom line.
Well, I think, Vishnu, they will continue to ignore it till governments make it clear that it's unacceptable. I mean, the fact is that there has been a hue and cry about the use of both sweetened beverages and as well as beverages using artificial sweeteners. It's been well known across the world. And it's very well known in India. Dr. Garg is talking about India being the diabetic capital of the world. Yet the government of India, the Food Safety and Standards Authority, has been dragging its feet, I think, completely under the pressure of such large companies to issue the labeling requirements, the front of the pack labeling requirements, a draft that they issued in 2016, under which these drinks would have to declare the amount of sugar that they use. And as you very correctly said, WHO has not only now talking about the cancer risk, which again has been talked about and now will be more clearer, but WHO has made it very clear that there is no benefit of using non-sugar, such sweeteners because it does not help in diabetes, it does not help in other non-communicable diseases. But we are refusing to listen to this. So I think, Vishnu, the message is very clear. We need to be very certain that the pressure is from companies. Who are we going to listen to? Our health, our doctors, or the companies?
Dr. Garg, if this is declared carcinogenic, it would essentially mean that any number of companies in India would have to stop manufacture of these items, presumably, or just go under potentially. So it's not something that can happen overnight. It requires a strong government move based on the science, which presumably the WHO may come out with.
Definitely. I think this is one of the most important things, because you see, now cancer also, we do have a non-communicable disease control program where, cancer is one of the important issues on the government's agenda. But definitely whenever we have dealt with the, different industries, like when we dealt with the cement industry and asbestos and, different industries, when we are dealing with this issue always comes in. But public health has to be, kind of weighing over all the other issues, and we have to think of the health of the population as a whole. And under Ayushman Bharat, I'm sure this will be one of the important agendas where we need to, have a dialogue with the companies. It will take time, but I'm sure, and it is the empowerment of the people which is very, very important. This is where, important stakeholder is the common man, and the public, which needs to be more aware of, and gradually, then we can stop the usage together.
Dr. Narayan, isn't it incumbent on the government to instantly ban these sweeteners if there is a WHO report which is adverse?
Well, I think the government must absolutely take very strong steps. I know that the WHO report will be contested by companies. I also know that WHO report will have a lot of issues of how serious is it, how much can you use, how much can't you use. The daily intake issues will come up. The question of, is it possibly carcinogenic? Is it potentially carcinogenic? I mean, there are a lot of issues in science. The fact is, and, this is the problem with a lot of cancer and what we actually consume. It's very hard often to make that direct correlation. It's always been the issue with pesticide use. It's always been the issue with diesel. Diesel as a carcinogenic fuel. And that's always a question on which science and the politics of science and the question of commerce, there needs to be a balance. Now, in my view, if there is even a risk of carcinogenicity, and if something like WHO says that there is a potential, a possibility, a risk, then we need government to step in, and we need government not to say that there's a new committee and a long term and it'll take time for companies. The fact of the matter is, if nothing else, government needs to put a clear rule of having front of the pack labeling, and all this must be left to consumers. If I know this has an aspartame and this is a potential carcinogen, then leave it to my choice. But at least then have the courage to have a front of the pack labeling, as is done across the world.
Dr. Garg, I think a lot of people would be watching this program, be wondering, if not aspartame, if not the sweetener which I presently have, then what?
You see, there will be alternative to, the sugar products. Definitely, not necessary. Ultimately, it's the calories which matters. That is not the direct sugar in moderate quantity that is important, but people can definitely, once they're empowered, we can have alternative to natural sugars. That is important part. But I will definitely again re-stress the point that it is important to have front of package labeling. As has been pointed out, we are already struggling hard with the ultra processed foods also, and star labeling will not help us. So it is better that we must do away with the artificial sweeteners, and we must have alternative to the natural sugar products. That will be important.
All right, Dr. Garg and Dr. Narayan, thank you very much to help me highlight this very important health issue. It concerns countless people in our country, perhaps more in India and the subcontinent than other parts of the world. But what will the government do, and what are the alternatives over here? Ultimately, there is no alternative to a healthy living. That's something that needs to be encouraged. Who's going to do that?